This is Math 131, section 11.1. Okay, we're getting to consumer mathematics. So the first thing we're talking about is percent. Okay. The word percent comes from the Latin percentum, which means per hundred or out of 100. Okay. So we can say a percent is a ratio of some number to 100. Okay. So 15% would be 15 out of 100, or 15 divided by 100. Okay. And whatever other percent, x percent, would be x divided by 100. So whenever we talk about percent, we want to express it as a decimal number. So we always take that percent and divide it by 100. So, for example, 15% dividing by 100 means you just move the decimal place 2 places. So here our decimal is here, right? If we move it 2 places over, we can write it as a decimal like this, 0.15. Okay, which means you're dividing by 100 because you move the decimal place 2 places. Okay, so that's true. And if, let's say we have 6%. 6%. Our decimal's here, right? So you think of where the decimal is and you move it 2 over. So if we move that over 2, we're going to get 0.06. Okay, so 6% is 0.06 because we need to put a 0 in that place. Okay, so dividing by 100, remember, is just moving your decimal 2 places to the left. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about how we change a fraction to a percent. Change a fraction to a percent. Our first step is that we divide the numerator by the denominator to get a decimal number. Remember, a fraction means divide, right? So, and then we multiply. Now we're going to a percent. We're at a decimal. We're going to go to a percent. So now we have multiply the decimal number by 100. Okay, which means moving the decimal point 2 places to the right. Okay, and then we add a percent sign as our third step. Okay, so we're doing the opposite, like 1/2. For example, we take 1 divided by 2, we get 0.5, right, or 0.50. And if we want to raise a percent, now we're going to multiply times 100, which means we move it 2 places to the right, and that would be 50, and then we throw the percent sign in the end. Okay, so we're doing just the opposite of what we did in the previous slide. When we got to convert from a fraction to a percent, we do the division, then we multiply by 100, right? So we move the decimal 2 places to the right, so that gives us 50%. Okay, so let's look at a couple examples. 67 over 100, 11 over 100, and 15 over 16. Okay, so 67 divided by 100 is just 0.67. Remember, we divide by 100, we just move our decimal 2 places to the left. Okay, and then 0.67 times 100 is 67, so this is 67%. Now, we could see by definition that 67 over 100 is 67%, because that's what that means, right? So we could also say, yeah, that's going to be 67%. Let's change b to 11 over 20 instead of 11 over 100 so we can, do it so it's not the same thing that we got before. Okay, so 11 divided by 20 is 0.55, okay? And then we take 0.55 times 100, which means we move the decimal 2 places to the right, so that gives us 55%, okay? Which is the same as 55 over 100, okay? So converting this fraction to a percent, we get 55%. And you can think of that's a little bit more than a half, right? A half would be 10/20, which is 50%, right? So we can kind of check our answer and see if that makes sense. And each 1/20th is 5% also. Okay, 15/16. Take 15 divided by 16, we get 0.9375. Okay, 0.9375 times 100, which means move the decimal 2 places to the right, and we get 93.75%. Okay, make sure you include this part too, so don't round. Keep all your decimals there. Okay, and we already talked about this, but to change a decimal number to a percent, we do the following. Multiply the decimal number by 100, right? And then add a percent sign. Okay, so if you have a decimal number, you already did think of like a fraction where you did the division. We're just going to move the decimal place 2 to the right, multiply by 100, and then add a percent sign. Okay, so let's look at a few examples here. 0.14, 0.893, and 0.7625. So 0.14 multiplied times 100, and that gives us 14, and then add the percent sign. Okay. 0.893 multiplied times 100, again, we're moving the decimal 2 places to the right, so that gives us 89.3, and then put the percent sign after that. Okay. And then 0.7625 multiplied by 100, move the decimal 2 places, so we get 76.25, and then throw the percent sign in. So pretty straightforward, right? Okay, and we talked about this at the beginning of this section, but to change a percent to a decimal number, remember percent means out of 100, so we're going to start by dividing the percent number by 100, and then remove the percent sign. Okay, so let's look at 35%, 69.8%, and 1/2%. We'll have to be careful with that one. Okay, so 35% means we divide by 100 and we get 0.35. So our decimal's here, we move it 2 places that way. We get 0.35. 69.8%, we divide 69.8 by 100, move the decimal 2 places this way, we get 0.698. Right. Be careful with the half percent, because that's not 50%. That's actually 0.5%, right? Half percent isn't less than 1%, right? So it's a half of 1%, so it's 0.5%, okay? And then we move our decimal 2 places over. So we divide 0.5 by 100, because the half is 0.5, and we get over here. So we're going to have to put another 0 in front. So we have 0.005, because if we move our decimal 2 places over, on this one we go there and there, and we have to throw in a 0, right? And our decimal place would go here, okay? So that's how we get 0.005. So be careful, don't confuse this with the 50%, because 50% would be 50%. This is a half of a percent. So it's actually going to be 0.005 as a decimal. Okay, now let's talk about percent change. We talk about percent change, we're looking at percent increase or decrease, okay, over a period of time. Okay, and we use this formula. So our percent change is, we take the amount in the latest period minus the amount in the previous period and divide it by amount in the previous period and then multiply times 100. Okay, so we're going to kind of look at, this is sort of like the now, this is before, and we divide it by before. So we take now minus before over before, okay, times 100. Okay. So let's look at some examples of that. Okay, first let's note this for percent change. If the amount in the latest period now is greater than the amount in the previous period, the answer will be positive, which means a percent increase. Okay. If the amount in the latest period is smaller than the amount in the previous period, okay, which means it's going down, the answer will be negative, and that indicates a percent decrease. Okay. So sometimes we'll have an increase, sometimes we'll have a decrease, depending on what happened between now and before. Okay, let's look at an example. So in 2010, most improved record for winning games, the San Diego Padres. Okay, in 2009 they won 75 games. 2010 they won 90 games. Okay, we want to know the percent increase in the number of games won by the Padres from 2009 to 2010. Okay. Okay, so again, our percent change is the amount in the latest period, current, minus the amount in the previous period, before, divided by the amount in previous period before, times 100. Okay, so this in 2010 they had 90, in 2009 they had 75, so it's 90 minus 75 over the previous. So now minus previous over previous. So 90 minus 75 over 15, which is 90 minus 75 over 75, which is 15 over 75, times 100. 15 over 75 is 0.2, okay, times 100 is 20. So there was a 20% increase in the number of games they won from 2009 to 2010. Okay, now let's talk about percent markup or percent markdown. Okay, so we talked about a percent markup or percent markdown on cost. Okay, positive answer is a markup, negative answer is a markdown. Okay, so percent markup or markdown on cost, okay, is the selling price. Think of that like what they're selling for now, minus the dealer's cost, what they paid for it, the dealer, divided by what they paid for it, dealer's cost, times 100, okay? So we can kind of think of it as like now and before. Now is the selling price, what they're trying to sell it for. Before is what they paid for it. And then we take the difference of that and divide by what they paid for it, originally. So, the dealer's going to pay a certain price and then probably going to sell it for more. They're going to have a certain markup. So that's how we figure out the percent markup. Okay, so Holder and Hardware, they pay $48.76 for glass fireplace screens, and then they sell them for $79.88. Okay. Now that's where they normally sell them. Now they have a sale, and they sell them for $69.99. Okay. So first you want to look at the percent markup on the regular price. Okay. From the original what they paid, and then the percent markup on the sale price from what they paid. So we're going to base our percent markup. Using this number first and then this number, and then for B we'll use this number compared to that number. So we're always going to base our markup on what they paid. It's kind of their wholesale price. Okay, so on the regular price, they're selling them for $79.88. They bought them for $48.76. So their selling price minus their purchase price divided by their purchase price. So, and then times 100. So 79.88 minus 48.76 divided by 48.76 is 0.6382. They don't show the math here, but you can, we can figure that out. This would be, let me just show that so we have it. It would be 31.12 over 48.76. And that's how we get that 0.6382. Okay. All right. So anyway, we get 0.6382 times 100, which is 63.8%. Now notice they're dropping the 2. They're rounding it to single digit decimal, or to, one decimal place, but for percent. So that'd be 63.82%. Okay. Let's not round. Let's keep it as is. So 63.82%. If you want to round to the tens place, it would be 63.8%, right? Okay, so that's their markup on the regular price. Okay, and then the sale price, we'll look at the markup. So we're going to compare it to what their cost was, right? So our sale price was $69.99 minus $48.76, their cost, divided by their cost, 48.76 times 100. Okay, now that gives us 0.4354. I'll show the math there. If you take this difference here, you get 21.23, so we're dividing that by 48.76, and that's how we get the 0.4354 here. Okay? And then we want it as a decimal or as a percent, so we multiply times 100, which gives us 43.5. Again, if we didn't round, it would be 43.54%. But here they're rounding it to the tenths place, so that's why you have 43.5%. So that's a percent markup on the sale price. Not quite as much as the other one, right? So, but it's still a pretty big markup. They're making some, profit there. Okay, let's talk about like down payment on a house. Okay, so Melissa Bell wants to buy a condominium for $189,000. Okay, so to get the loan, now when you get a loan for a house, you have to put down some money, right? That you're putting some of it down. She has to pay 20% of the selling price as a down payment. Okay, so we want to know that amount, the amount of her down payment. Okay, okay, so X, which is what we're looking for, is 20% of the selling price, which means 0.20 times 189,000, which is 37,800. So her down payment is 37,800. Now think about of, right? What of means. Okay. In this case, of means times. Okay. We talk about of. So 20% of the selling price is 0.20, because we're going to use 20% as a decimal, times, I'll use X for times, but 189,000. Okay, so that's how we determine that, is when we say of, we're going to multiply. So 20% of the selling price is 0.20 times 189,000. So we have to use 20% as a decimal when we do that, and then we're going to multiply. Okay, so that's how we get 37,800. Okay, as a down payment.